Hello and welcome. So I found this video from DataTrader showing a trading strategy including the stochastic slow, RSI and MACD, and I thought this would be interesting to code in Python. Please note the following deviations from DataTrader's approach. First, I'm considering another time horizon than DataTrader. Also, contrary to DataTrader, I'm not considering leverage, so the results, no matter if positive or negative, will be distinctly lower. My strategy is not covering his exit strategy, so I'm not limiting losses and I'm not considering profit takes. That said, let's quickly take a look at the strategy we have to build. So the buying conditions, which can be found at around minute 4 in DataTrader's video, linked in the video description, are regarding the stochastic slow, can be seen here, both the so-called K and D line should be above 20, but not above 80. After, the K and D lines both hit below 20. The RSI then should be above 50 and the MACD line should cross the signal line. So the difference between MACD and signal line gotta be positive. The selling condition, which can be found at around minute 4:23, are the K and D lines should be again above 20 and below 80 after the K and D line hit both above 80. The RSI then should be below 50 and the signal line should cross the MACD line. So the difference between MACD and signal line should be negative. The indicator settings I'm taking as a DataTrader, can be seen here. So as he did, I'm taking a time frame of 30 minutes. And yeah, unfortunately, I'm not taking an Alan Walker song in this video. That said, let's get started. Alright, so first we need some necessary libraries. We need Y Finance to get asset prices from the internet, NumPy for some conditional checkings, and we need TA, technical analysis calculation library. First of all, we are pulling price data for the euro in relation to the US dollar. So this is the same asset DataTrader was using here, and we are starting as far back as possible, which is mid of July. So we can only go 60 days back, taking a 30 minutes time frame here. So as DataTrader, we are using a 30-minute time frame. And with that, we are getting a data frame like this. So you see here, we are getting 30-minute time frames here, right? All right, and now we are starting with calculating the technical indicators, and we are starting with the K line. So I'm not covering the calculation of the K line in this video. I will link a resource in the video description, but it's very straightforward. So I'm just using the TA library here, take the momentum functions and take the Stochastic Osciliator. So this is also called the fast stochastic here, and we have to provide the high, the low, the close, and a window, which is 14 as DataTrader was using, and the smooth window, which is 3 also as DataTrader was using. And with that, we have calculated the K line. And now the D line, which is the so-called stochastic slow, is just a 3-period simple moving average. So we can use the K line here and use the rolling function, take 3 time steps here and take the mean out of that. So as said, just a simple moving average over the K line. Now we have our D line here, and next step would be to calculate the RSI. And again, we are taking the TA library, take a look at the momentum functions, take the RSI and provide our close column and take a 14 time steps window here. All right, and last but not least, the MACD, which is just the difference between the MACD and signal line, and we can use the trend functions from the TA library here and just take the MACD difference, which is again just the difference between MACD line and the signal line, and we are providing the close column here. All right. And as we are getting some NAN values now, we have to drop them. So we're just taking the drop NA function and take in place as true. And now we have a data frame without NAN values. Now we are checking the crossings of the K and D lines. The challenge here is how far do we have to go back in the past, so how many rows back. to check if the cross was occurring. And to keep it flexible, we are working with a function for that, but before we are creating it, let me quickly explain how this will work. So in general, to check if the signal is occurring in the prior time step, you will do something like this. NumPy where, and then provide the column name, shift it by one row, and check if it's below 20. And the same for the D column, because we have to check both lines crossing below 20 here, right? The problem with that is that it is not flexible, so you would need to provide multiple OR statements here. So if you want to check for the prior 2 time steps here, you would do something like this, OR, and then shift it by 2, and so on. So you see, very inconvenient. So the idea is to create a Boolean mask in a loop and store it, and after that filter the whole data frame for the stored Boolean mask. So you would need, for example, an empty data frame. So let's just create it. We need to import pandas. I forgot that. Sorry for that. So we need an empty data frame here. And now we're using a loop for I in range 1 to 4. And now we are just creating a Boolean mask in every iteration here. So we can just use this syntax, replace the one with the element here. And now we are creating for every shift in every iteration, we are creating a Boolean mask. And we're just appending this Boolean mask to the data frame we have created in the beginning. So we can just use append, then mask, and we have to ignore the index here, otherwise it wouldn't work. All right. And with that, we are ending up with this one here. And what is this? So you see, we have the columns here, which are the time steps, right? So just the index of our data frame from the beginning. And this column values here are just accounting for the fact if the cross below 20 was occurring. All right, so this is the very first shift by one row, and we see no cross here. 2 rows, no cross, 3 rows, no cross. Whenever we have a 1 here, we had the cross, right? It doesn't matter if it's in the first, in the second, that doesn't matter, but the cross has to occur, right? So every vertical sums here should be above 0, right? So if the vertical sum is above 0, we have a cross here, so we have a buying trigger. All right, so this is how this is working. So how can we achieve that? We can take the sum and define the axis as 0, and with that we are getting the vertical sum here. So we are ending up with this. All right, now let's wrap that all in function. I hope this was understandable, by the way. So we can get rid of that. This was just an example. So we are getting triggers, get triggers, and we are taking a data frame as the argument, provide the number of legs. So this is just the number of time steps you want to go back, and we're just setting a default argument here. So if we don't provide an argument, we are covering the buying signals here, right? And inside this function, we are basically just doing what I just showed you. So dfx is an empty data frame, and now we're using for I in range 1 to legs plus 1. So legs plus 1, because we actually want to just go back the legs we have provided, right? So we don't want to get rid of the last value, which is common in a for loop in Python. And now we are providing if by, and define the mask here as this one here. This is below 20, and if it's a cell argument, we want to have the mask like so. So we're just checking if that is above 80 here, triggering the cell signal, and afterwards we are just appending that to dfx. All right. So what do we need to return from this function? We want to have the sum, the vertical sum I just showed you. All right, so this is our function, and how is this working? So if I want to have the buying triggers, so I'm just creating a new column here, buy triggers, and use numpy where, and I'm just calling this function now, get triggers, provide our data frame. Let's take 4 legs here, and yeah, if I'm getting, so I'm not providing buy here as the default argument is true, and if I'm getting the triggers here, I want to have a 1, and if I'm not, I want to get a 0, right? So again, let me call this function. Maybe this is better understandable. If I'm calling this function like so, I'm getting this, what you just saw. And if I'm applying a numpy where function on that, I'm just getting zeros where the sum is not larger than 0, and I'm getting 1 where the sum is larger than 0. All right. Okay, so we got that, and we have our buy triggers, and yeah, for our sell triggers, same logic, 4 legs, and we are setting the buy argument to false to get our selling conditions here. All right, and with that, we have our buying triggers and selling triggers. And now we want to get our actual buying signals. So we are creating a new column here, and again, use numpy where. And first condition should be that we have a buying trigger, and we want to have our K line between 20 and 80. I've explained that in the beginning, right? So K should be between 20 and 80. Next one is our D, which is also between 20 and 80. And our RSI value should be above 50. And I forgot to set proper parentheses here. And last but not least, our MACD should be above 0, right? So again, this was just the MACD difference, or the MACD histogram. All right. And again, if all these conditions are fulfilled, I want to have 1, and if not, I want to have 0. Okay. So I hope I set all the parentheses right. Can be a pain here. Let's just run it. No, I didn't. Let me quickly check. Okay, this one's missing. Yeah. All right. Now for the sell, I'm just copy pasting all this logic and changing the signs here. So sell, I want to have the sell trigger, and my K should be between 20 and 80 again. My RSI should be below 50, and my MACD should be below 0 here, right? So again, sell trigger should be between 20 and 80, was right. And yeah, that should be fine. Okay. And now we want to get our buying dates and selling dates. So we are creating 2 empty lists here, and we are populating them with a loop logic. So we're taking for I in range and then looping over the size of the data frame, and I'm limiting that by 1. Why? Because you will see in the next step. So first I'm checking if my buying column in each row contains a buy signal, right? So this is what this line is doing. And now I'm appending to my buying dates the particular row name, but I'm going in the next row, right? Because otherwise I would have a forward-looking bias here, right? So I can only buy in the next time step and not in the time step where I'm evaluating those signals here. So I'm getting the name of the row, which is just the particular date name. Not date name, sorry, just a particular date. And now when I have appended a buying date, I'm checking from there on when my selling condition is fulfilled. So how can I do that? I'm just creating a nested loop logic here. So I'm taking for num j in, then enumerate here, and go in my selling conditions, but only from the buying date on, right? So the enumerate function is just giving the iteration number here, right? So first iteration is 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And now if I'm getting a j, so j is just checking for the values in cell, which are 1 and 0s. So if I get a 1 here, I can just do that by calling if j, appending to my selling dates. And again, I'm taking a similar logic as above. So I'm just taking the ilog function again, take I plus num, which is the number of the iteration. And I'm adding a 1 to get in the next row here. And again, taking the name. All right, and if I'm appending a selling date, I want to break this inner loop here, because if I sold, I sold, right? Nothing can happen after that. Okay, and with that, I've defined my buying and selling dates. Now, it could happen that I'm getting buying dates and I have no selling dates in the very end of the data frame, right? So to avoid that, I'm just creating a variable here, take the length of my buying dates and subtract the length of the selling dates here. And if this is another value than 0, I want to cut off my buying dates, right? So I'm just taking buying dates and cut off the last dates, because I cannot evaluate the profit of this trade if I just bought the asset and didn't sell it. All right, and now let's create a data frame out of that so that we see our trades. We're taking our buying dates as our buying dates and our selling dates as our selling dates. Okay, and with that, we are getting this frame containing the buying and selling dates, and you will see that we have a problem here with overlapping trades. Let's take an example. You see this row here. We opened the trade at 9 o'clock, 23rd here, and this trade will close 28 at 6 o'clock. But then we are opening a new trade here, 14 o'clock, and we are closing that on the same date. So we have multiple trades here and we want to cancel them out. And how can we do that? We could just check if this value is larger than this shifted value. So we are shifting the selling dates by one row and we're just checking if the buying date is larger than this value. And that way we avoid overlapping positions. So let's call that actuals for actual trades. And as said, we are taking the buying dates and check if they're larger than the shifted selling dates. All right, and then we're getting our actual trades, which are just 3 trades here in this case. And now we want to get, at least if we're just going, what was it? 4 time steps back and check if the cross was occurring, right? All right, so let's calculate the profits. I'm just creating a function for that. You can do that without a function, also possible. Providing buy prices, and this is just screening our initial data frame and then just for the buying dates. And we are buying on the next possible open price. after we have screened for our signals, and same for our selling conditions here. So we're just taking the selling dates column here and check for the open price, and in the end we are returning the relative profit, which is just the sell prices values minus the buy prices values divided by the buy prices values. So we can store that in the variable profits, calling the profit calc function here, getting an error here because of a typo, actuals, still getting an error here. Yeah. And finally we got our profits here. So let's analyze them. So the mean profits would be 0.2%, and the cumulative profit would be 0.7%, again without taking leverage into consideration. So what else could we cover here? So you ask, I think someone asked for visualizing the strategies, so we can do that as well by importing matplotlib pyplot as plt, then define a figure size 2010, plot the close price here, give it a color black, and make the chart more visible by defining an alpha, not visible but more transparent, and then visualize our buying signals considering the actual trades, buying dates as the index, and take the open price of this date, then define the marker like so, give it a green color and a bigger size to make it more visible. Size 500 we can take. Alright, so same for the selling dates, or selling signals rather. Selling dates. Give it a red color and come on. Give me a second. And we got this graph here, right? So rather a good trade, rather a 50-50 trade, and rather a good trade, right? So this is, yeah, similar to what we see in this profit array here, right? Good, not good, good. So yeah, let's take a look at other assets. And what I found out was this is pretty nice when considering cryptocurrencies. So we could take a look at the Bitcoin USD and just execute everything again. Some more trades here. Some nice profits, 8%, 14%. Mean profit of 2.6%. Accumulated profit of 15%. Pretty nice. So visualize it again. So you see, nice trade, nice trade, nice trade, bad trade, bad trade, bad trade. But overall, pretty nice. So yeah, let's take a look at another crypto asset here and maybe change the legs here to, I don't know, 6. Is this improving or worsening? Pretty Curious about that. Yeah, 37% profit, pretty awesome. So seems to work with cryptocurrencies, and I think I will code a crypto bot with this strategy, amending some stuff like an exit strategy. So yeah, if you're interested in that, leave the video a like. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And yeah, I hope this video was interesting or helpful for you. And I'm looking forward to seeing the upcoming videos. Bye bye.